Okay, Shalom Ubracha, and welcome back. We're continuing Reb Noson's letters, letter 32, which was written at the time that he wrote a discourse in his Likutey Halakhot based on Likutey Moharan lesson 24. But before we go on, just a very important point of these 3 weeks, that these 3 weeks don't establish anything, which means what? That all the negative thoughts and negative feelings that come out, especially in these 3 weeks, and they try to convince you, it's over, like it's finished, and a lot of yush, a lot of feelings of futility and negativity, they're not kovea, because this time period, the negativity has the upper hand. It's the 3 weeks given to the Yetzer Hara, to the evil, that besides that the destruction of the temple took place, but the miniature destruction of the temple is how you feel destroyed. You feel, I'm not getting anywhere, I'm getting older, and this is not happening, and this, and I thought my kids would turn out this way, they turned out that way, I thought I would make it in my Yiddishkeit, and this and that, all this negativity coming out, especially in these times, it's not kovea. It's a patience is needed just to get through these 3 weeks. We feel the pain, we feel the mourning, but I wait. And normally afterwards comes the highest simcha. Tu B'Av is one of the highest happy days of the year, and it's right after these 3 weeks. So that's a moral lesson in life, that not to make conclusions based on the negative times. There are times in the year, like King Solomon says, there's 24 times. A time to cry, a time to sing, a time to dance, okay? So this is one of those times where it's negative, and I have to maintain stability by having patience. It's gonna pass. So what's my job? I'm going through these challenges. I feel negative. I feel bad about myself. I feel like I'm getting nowhere. I feel miserable, and I am miserable. All these things, fine. But patience is needed. Reb Noson's gonna go into this. We're gonna see how, even though Reb Noson wrote this in the week of HaEzer, which is like the beginning of the winter, when in the month of Cheshvan, which is right after Tishrei, where there's a lot of energy, a lot of light. But what he says here is very applicable to what we're going now through in the 3 weeks, and a lot of patience is needed. And there's a lot of setbacks and a lot of this not working out, especially in these 3 weeks, okay? And not to make any conclusions based on that, you have to be super strong. But a person can only be strong if he has a tzaddik in his life. Person is all alone, then we understand why they fall. What do you want? Mm-hmm. When you have a tzaddik, a true tzaddik in your life, that's why it's called a true tzaddik, because he shines the truth in your darkness. No matter what you're going through, he doesn't let you make false conclusions like other people do. Reb Noson writes in one of his letters something scary. He said, people who I grew up with now, he wrote a letter later on, like he's already in his early 60s. And he writes, the many people that were in my class and I grew up with, they're no longer here. And they didn't follow my pathway following Rabbi Nachman. They were opposed and that, and look where they are now. He said most of them died already. He's already 60s, early 60s. He said most of them died already because they made misconceptions. They fell into the trap of, it's not for me, and then they paid for it. So how fortunate is someone who's amiti, who's really truthful and honest with himself or herself, and pursues the truth. But for that, you need a true tzaddik. He shines you that light of clarity. You know the whole Torah, you can know the whole Gemara, all the Midrash, all the Zohar, all the Kabbalah. But if you have a misconception in your head, it's going to shine in everything. Reb Noson has another letter, because the breslov-therapers, they faced opposition. We don't see so much in these letters, but he faced major opposition. So Reb Noson writes to his son, make sure this letter that I'm writing to you doesn't get into the hands of the leitzim are the mockers. People who would make fun of breslov, religious people with payas and beard, and make fun of Rabbi Nachman and his teachings. He says, because these people can take anything true, as no matter how deep and profound what I'm writing is, they'll find a way to make a mockery out of it. They can take anything and make a mockery out of it. And they can make a joke out of it. And they said that's how it has to be for the sake of free will. For the sake of free will, it has to be like that. That there's a possibility of taking the Torah and transforming it to the exact opposite. It's like in the media, right? the media, they can take stuff about us and then just distort it. That's why media is so bad, because they're good at distorting everything. Even pure Judaism, they can take it and just turn it around. Even a documentary can make mistakes. So that's the thing now. You need a tzaddik, a true tzaddik, to shine you this clarity, so you don't get sidetracked by anything. And Reb Noson is going to say benefits of the byproducts of all this. Okay, so we started last class, letter 32. He's at this point. Reb Noson is finishing up his discourse. He wrote a beautiful discourse, and in this letter, he's going to quote from the discourse one of the most powerful points that I've ever seen in all Breslov literature. It's this point that he brings up, coming up, Bezat Hashem, about Avram Avinu in Parshat Vayera, sitting at the entrance of the tent in the heat of the day, looking for guests. The famous pasuk, Parshat Vayera, and how Reb Noson takes it and shows it upon every single Jew. It's one of the most fascinating, most encouraging words that Reb Noson gives in his entire Likutey Halakhot, and it's here. And it's towards the end of this discourse. The discourse has about 20 paragraphs. This is written in paragraph 18, 19. So Reb Noson's finishing it up. So we have this letter, 32, and then the next letter, 33, which is an assumption that he wrote it at the end of this discourse, and he went into another one. Because the next one is when Ukraine was hit with the cholera epidemic. And it killed thousands of people, including many Jews. And Reb Noson at that point shifted to another lesson, which goes into suffering, how to handle suffering. But here, Reb Noson is still focusing on the power of simcha, and he's going into it full force, okay? So I'm just going to recap quickly the paragraph we did last class, the beginning of this letter, letter 32, right? I'll just go through it quickly because the opening says everything about the letter. So he says again, Bezat Hashem Yitbarach, Shacharit, the morning, Wednesday morning, Parshat HaEzer, 1830, Takza, Breslov, the city of Breslov. Shalom kanahug, the customary shalom to my son. Mechtavo kibalti, I received your letter. Gam shlosha rubel chadash, and also the money I requested as a loan, the 3 new rubles to help me out. Shuat chen chen lo al zeh, my charm and reciprocated charm towards you for doing this. V'hine mechtavcha hayali lenachat gadol. So now your letter was pleasing to me. Just want to check one thing. I think I'm not in the. 1 second. I'm feeling no one's showing up because I'm not in the actual Zoom class. 1 second. Okay, I think I'm in. Okay. Your letter, I had a lot of nachat from the letter that you wrote to me, right? Because I see that my letters have a good impression on you, which is very important. And in truth, all of them were written with the salvation of Hashem, because I don't have the ability to write such clear letters, and the time and whatever. Reb Noson did many things, So on one hand, he's writing that it takes a lot of salvation to write, and then also what he writes about, he has no clue. It just comes out like divine messages which were needed to be heard. And he says, because of our strong yearning and desire and our wanting to come close to Hashem Yitbarach, that's what creates these letters. So now the goal of the letters is to be happy, and when you're happy, then you can serve Hashem with complete simplicity. He teaches Rabbi Nachman in this lesson 24 that when you do mitzvot besimcha, you activate bracha, and the bracha that comes down is dependent on you. Like the pasuk says, there's a pasuk we say every day, 3 times a day. It's an obligation to say these psukim in davening. Like men, poteach et yadecha umasbiach lecho chayratzon. We have a halachic obligation to say Ashrei 3 times a day. twice shacharit, once mincha, and all 3 times because of one verse. We said the whole chapter, we need all 22 psukim there, whatever, for one verse. Because all sustenance is dependent on that verse. When you say Hashem, you open your hands, and you satiate all living with ratzon. Okay, that's what it translates. So they learn out from this verse that this is how we're activating Hashem to want to bring down bounty. And we say we acknowledge Hashem, you open your hands. Hashem as if has divine hands. Okay, you give down, you satiation to all living according to your will, according to the will. That's the pshat. Rabbi Nachman reinterprets it like this. Okay, we have an obligation to say it twice a day, once in mincha and once in day, in order to activate sustenance during the day and during the evening. The one at mincha is for now the evening stretch, and the morning one is for the day stretch. And the third one that we say the Zohar asks, the last week's Zohar, Dafkan, Parshat Pinchas, the Zohar asks, so why twice? Why twice in Shacharit? Once is enough. So he said the first one is to acknowledge first that Hashem is the one who's the source of everything. And once we acknowledge that, then we actually ask for Parnasah by saying, Hashem, you open your hands, so please send me down sustenance, okay? So Rabbi Nachman takes this verse and he shows it on a different angle. Hashem, you open your hands, poteach et yadecha, umasbi'a lecholchai, and you give satiation to all living, ratzon, according to their desire. If a person wants a Cadillac, so Hashem, you were able to give him the Cadillac. The guy wants the mansion with 3 garages, so you give him the mansion with 3 garages. The person wants to know you, Hashem, he wants a bounty of wisdom, so you give him that. Hashem gives each person according to what he wants. The person just wants parnasa, 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 and that's it. So Hashem will deal with that person likewise. But a person is smart, and he wants the maximum. The maximum is what? Birkat HaSechel, the blessing of the intellect. Like Hashem told King Solomon, if you remember. Hashem said to King Solomon, I'll give you one request. What do you want? And he could have asked for riches and this. He said, Hashem, I want to know you. I want knowledge of you. So Hashem told King Solomon, because you asked the right thing, I'll also give within it all the physical riches and wealth. That's why he was so wealthy. Why? Because everything's in the Torah. Everything, if you have da'at, it's like the famous Gemara. Da'at kanita machasarta. Da'at chasarta makanita. Right? If you have knowledge, you're lacking nothing. And if you don't have knowledge, then if you're lacking knowledge, then what do you have? If you have knowledge, pure knowledge that Hashem is running the world, and you see it, that's the greatest gift. That is mamash, the greatest gift in the world. Okay? So this is the idea of sechel. If you're why Rabbi Nachman says, if you're what's called a baal nefesh, if you're someone who's concerned about your neshama, you realize that I'm not here just to open a big business in downtown Manhattan and to make it, and the stocks and money and vacations and nice clothing and nice Ferrari. You know that that's not the purpose. You know it. You know clearly that this world is vanity. It doesn't make sense to invest in this world so much because anyways you get old. Anyways you wither and you die. So what is it worth investing my whole life for something which is passing? It's absolute stupidity. There are those people who invest because they know that they were gifted to give tzedakah. And they know that their mission is to help Am Yisrael. It's like the Maggid HaMizrach had a wealthy disciple. And he told the Maggid HaMizrach, I'm going to take upon myself now to just eat bread and water. The Maggid grabbed him by his lapels and he says, you have to drink wine and eat meat every single day. And they said, why tell him that? He says, because if now he only eats water and drinks water, he drinks water and eats bread, dry bread, so when he sees poor people asking for help, he said, you can live off also bread and water. But when he's living off everyday meat and wine, which back then was considered for wealthy people, so he realized that people need much less than him. That's the idea. There are people who are here for tzedakah. Fine. So sometimes they need their comforts and their fancy schmancy mansion, everything, to remind them that they have wealth and that way they can do for others. Okay, that's what we understand. These big machers, that they have money and they may show off of it and everything, but they also commensurate to that they do give tzedakah. That's one thing. But the average person, especially people who come to live in Eretz Yisrael, we're here because we know our purpose in life. We have in front of our eyes that, we have a mission here and we have to do it. We have to serve Hashem, and it's not worth investing so much in this world. It's better to invest in Torah and mitzvot and masim tovim, because that is what I'm going to take with me in the kever. That's going to be with me. Mashiach doesn't come by then, not chet emetim. That's all I have with me, B'ezrat Hashem. And even if he does come, that's what I have. That's the real investment. So Ben Nachman says the main bracha is intellect. The Zohar, the Tikkunei Zohar, says this is hinted to in the word Baruch. Baruch, Bet, Reish, Vav, Chaf. The Zohar says, the Tikkunei Zohar says, what is Bet, Reish, Vav, Chaf? Brachot, Rosh, Umekor, Kol. As again, so it's Brachot, Bet, Rosh, Reish, Umekor, that's Vav, Kol, Kaf, that's Baruch. What does it translate? The blessing of the head, the mind, and that being Umekor, Kol, the root of everything else in the world. So Rabbi Nachman teaches, he's based on everything, on the Zohar and everything, that the main bracha you can ask for is the bracha of intellect. Okay? And once you have the bracha of intellect, not to forget emunah. As much as Hashem, you open your mind and understanding. You have these people, I know these people, they have these insights, and they say, I want to share something with you. And these are people not so learned, but they feel like they have divine messages coming to them and like showing off to me their nice insights. Everything's fine and dandy, beautiful, bravo. But if there's no emunah with it, you lost the point. Everything you have an intellect of the Torah and insights and chidushim, afterwards you have to put it in emunah. What does it mean to put the intellect into emunah? It means that after everything's said and done, after all the logistics and all the intellectual gymnastics and amazing insights, all that is to bring me to serve Hashem with complete simplicity, to be mutu pshitut. Like that I can have the ability, even though I'm so learned, that I can from that go to say Ashrei and Mincha and Davin with total simplicity. That I can do mitzvot with simplicity. I can wash my hands with simplicity and say a bracha. And not people who are like carried away with their intellect. It's like they have a joke, unfortunately, in the yeshiva world. The guy's too busy learning Torah, he has no time to think about Hashem. You heard this joke once? It's sad. The guy is so much into the Gemara, into the Rashba and the Rosh and the Rif and the Ran and all the Mefarshim and all the Gemara thing, and he has no time to think about Hashem. You missed the point then. The goal of all that is to be able then to have the ability to push everything on the side and then go full thrust into serving Hashem with emunah. Okay? That's the goal. The goal of all the learning is that afterwards you can say a bracha on the tefillin with total simplicity. Complete, simple emunah. That's the goal. That's the goal of the learning. And the davening, the goal of learning is to, in all the mitzvot you do, the brachot, Shabbat, everything, that you can have like a Shabbos table which is happy and you feel the good vibes. Not like the people like our Shiva sitting at a Shabbos table and everyone has to be like, oh my, rigid. To be able to feel the Kedusha and the Simcha and the light of the Shabbos table, even though I'm so learned and I know all the Gemara inside out and all the Shas and the Poskim and everything, to be able to have simple faith. And the simple faith comes out in simple devotion. Rabbi Nachman said, I believe emunah is in the hands. In other words, you have people, they're big talkers. Yeah, I believe, but they don't keep Shabbat, they don't keep kosher, they don't. So in what does your emunah rest if there's no application? You can't just say, oh, I believe in God, it's in the heart, I believe, and you do what you want. You walk around as you dressed as you want, and everything. Come on. The emunah has to be on something that you do. It has to be noticeable on a physical devotion that you've sanctified to Hashem. If it's in blessings, commitment, Torah study, charity, davening, okay? That is where emunah shows itself. You can't just say, oh, I believe, oh great, yeah, I believe. Show me you believe, okay? Show me. For some people they show in their tzedakah, some people they show in their Torah study, but everyone has to show in their mitzvah performance. That's where we see the emunah, okay? Of course there are people who are lost in everything, what can we do? But the idea is that emunah ultimately is in devotion. So watch Reb Noson, he's amazing. He goes right into this, that he's so happy that his letters, and especially the letters he was writing, these last two ones that we saw, letter 31, letter 30, where Reb Noson's main thrust is being the simcha. Okay? Now what do you do with that simcha? You activate bracha. What bracha? Rabbi Nachman says in lesson 24, the bracha of knowing Hashem. Okay, and what do I do with that? I join that with emunah. Okay, how does that show itself? The emunah shows itself in simple devotion. So Reb Noson goes right into it. He says to his son, immediately, Na bni, please my son. He's writing to his son Rav Yitzchak. Chazak ve'ematz ve'tadmid belimudcha hitev. Be strong and brave and be diligent in your Torah study, like very well. Don't skip out. Don't make your learning wobbly, wishy-washy. One day yes, one day no. Make it solid. You know, in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, there's halacha, one halacha in the Code of Jewish Law. He says that you have to make one Torah study session fixed. That no matter what happens, there's a wedding today, I'm traveling to Oman, whatever. I'm going this, I'm going there. There's one Torah study that I don't skip no matter what. By Rabbi Nachman, what is that, by the way? What is the one, if God forbid, I have to go to jail? And they say you can bring in one book with you. Which book do I bring in? Do I bring in Rabbi Nachman's Likutey Moharan? Do I bring in the Zohar? Do I bring in a Chumash? He says, no, you bring in a book of Halacha. Halacha is priority post. Priority post is Halacha for every Jew. He says every Jew, whether he's breslov or not breslov, every Jew should be consistent in learning Halacha. This applies even to women, by the way, because women also have Halachot. There's many Halachot that they have to know. Shabbat, brachot, everything, Tarta Mishpacha, whatever, laws of lending, borrowing. It applies to women also, all these laws, right? Fine. Tefillin, they don't have to go so much into the laws of tzitzit, okay? But there's made laws that shaykh to women also they have to learn, okay? This is the one learning that no matter what happens every day, I don't let go of just one or two lines of halacha. No matter what. No matter what. If I go on vacation and this, my book of halacha comes with me no matter what. It's my art school book, my Feldheim book, this translation, the online classes of halacha daily, whatever. I have that with me no matter what, okay? So he's saying here, "V'tatmid belimudcha hitev," be consistent in your learning very well. And look at this. This is amazing. Rav Yitzchak, he worked in the local post office, which was also the government bank in Tulchin, a village not far, about an hour drive below Breslov. And he says to him, "Lilmod kama sha'ot bechol yom," to learn several hours. So his son Rav Yitzchak is called the Balbosi. He's a Balbait. That means he's working. He doesn't have time to dedicate his whole day to learning Torah. And yet Reb Noson says to spend several hours learning Torah. It's amazing because the Mishnah Berurah, I think quoting the Rambam, he says a Jew who goes to work should commit himself to at least 4 to 5 hours of Torah study. You think about that. You see people today in North America, they have like a 9 to 5 job, 8 hours a day, plus to learn 4 or 5 hours, and ideally to learn before going to work, okay? You tell people that in America, they say, you find another job. Find another job. I have to be at work at 9 in the morning. I have to quickly, after davening, gulp my coffee and a jelly donut and go into traffic and get to work, I barely make it. He says, yeah, you have to yearn for the ideal schedule that your learning comes first and it's not wishy-washy. It's not easy, but it's a goal. It is a goal that the learning should be done before learning and a good few hours. There was in Uman, there was a Breslover who had a store that he sold like fur coats and clothing. What's called textile clothes store. And facing him, another Jew opened the exact same business. That's already a problem. It's not nice. You don't open the same business, okay? And he opened earlier because the Breslover would not open his work until he finished his daily learning schedule. He was the boss. He can open whenever he wants, okay? So he would come sometimes a bit later because he didn't manage to finish his learning schedule and then go to work. So the Breslover had a line of people waiting for him to open. So the guy across the street, he said to the customers, we're open already. We have better prices, come to me, come to us. So the people in line said, we don't trust. This guy, he's honest. He's honest in his merchandise. He may not have a better price, but he's honest and he's right. We don't trust you. Look at that. He gained a good reputation even though he opened late. You would think you lose your business and that. His priority was bitachon and emunah and Hashem. He had a store. He opened it when he finished his learning. People there were people waiting. They waited because they rather buy by him because they trusted him. He earned an honest reputation because of his priority in your Shemayim of putting his Torah study before. That's an amazing example of people how they once were, and how there are still people who are like that. B'ezrat Hashem. In any event, his son is running the local post office, okay, and the government bank, And he's telling him, "Lilmod kama sha'ot b'chol yom." Make sure you learn, because a Jew, you have to realize there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn. Okay, Gemara already takes a lot of time by a man. Today they have Daf Yomi. Daf Yomi takes on average approximately an hour for most people. Okay, and the people who don't do Daf Yomi, they do much less, or they do much more, and they do commentaries. So Gemara is already a big chunk. But besides Gemara, there's the learning of Chumash. Okay, and then there's the learning of Tanakh. You have to also learn Tanakh. That's also a learning. Rabbi Nachman said to learn everything, cover ground. And there's Mishnayot, there's Midrash, there's Zohar, there's the Arizal for those who can learn. Okay, there's Ein Yaakov, there's Halacha. It's a whole list. Okay, a whole list. And then there's breslov-therapy, and then there's saying Tikkun HaKlali, there's Tehillim, there's Likutey Tfilot, there's Hitbodedut. It's like already, oh my God, you hear this already? It's like, right? And then some people, they like doing Nishmat Kolcha every day. Okay, there's like a whole list, and people have all these little schedules to learn this, that, stories of tzaddikim, you know, the other little books that you like to learn. You have like a schedule. You can have up to 20 books a day. Some 5 minutes, some 10 minutes, some 15 minutes, and then there's like devotions for the 3 weeks. There's a custom in the 3 weeks at noontime, halachic noon, which now is about 12:38, 12:40, to say tikkun chatzot, tikkun rachel, or to just mourn over in your own words over the destruction of the temple, or use any other prayers that help you to cry and to feel the pain of the destruction of the temple and the death of tzaddikim, okay? Reb Noson wrote a beautiful prayer, by the way, prayer 33, part 2, to help people express the yearning for Hashem, the yearning for the Beit HaMikdash, etc. So there's all these devotions. And then there's davening shachar, mincha, maariv. Okay, you're a Jew. And then you have kids to take care of, and you have education to pay for, to teach your kids. Okay, and you have a family, and you have to go shopping, and spend time with your wife, and whatever. It's like a whole. A Jew has so much to do in 24 hours. The 24 hours is not enough. Other people, they can waste. Rabbi Nachman says people can waste like years, and they don't care. Yeah, I spent a year like in Antarctica, just trying to walk around the whole. People, I'm just saying, with crazy ideas, and they can go by and they don't care. But by a Jew, we don't have time. There's so much to do. Okay, lo alecha amelacha ligmor velo ata ben choin libatel mimena. Pirkei Avot. It's not for you to finish everything, but you can. But you're also not a guy say, okay, so I don't have to do anything. You have to do your maximum, but not to be broken. To do your best and your maximum. Every day has its challenges. Sometimes you can't meet your requirement, your quota. That's like I said. I quoted the kids of Shulchan Aruch. He says you have some learning that's minimum. That no matter how the day goes up and down, I have this minimum davening and learning schedule that I meet, whether I'm traveling or this and that. I don't budge from this learning. Fine. Oof, I went off a lot, but there's so much to do. So going back, he told his son, "Lilmod kama sha'ot b'chol yom." Make sure, my son, that you learn several hours a day. Even though he's a working guy, he's in charge of a post office which is always busy, and a government bank which is also busy. Make sure you fit in hours to learn, my son. V'gam lomar tehillim utfilot b'chol yom, and to make time to say tehillim and other prayers every day. Reb Noson could be hinting to his prayers that he wrote, because many letters. Reb Noson encourages his son to say these beautiful prayers from Likutey Tefillah because they're so absolutely phenomenal. V'gam lefaresh sichatcha b'chol yom, and also to express your conversation. In other words, hitbodedut, your personal talking to Hashem, your own words, your personal words, every day. Ulerachem al atzmecha b'chol yom, and to have pity on yourself. And it would tell Hashem, look at me. How am I going to get anywhere in life? That's an example of lerachem al atzmecha. To have pity, to take compassion upon yourself every day. Don't lose out a day without that conversation. We said in one of the classes already that it's worlds apart, a person who does hitbodedut and a person who doesn't do hitbodedut. The person who sets time to talk to Hashem every day is a different ball game. That other person, he spends his whole time even learning Gemara and poskim and everything, but he doesn't set a time to talk to Hashem. These people are worlds apart. Worlds apart. They say in Breslov, or Rabbi Nachman said it, I forget exactly who, but they say you can tell on a person's face if he does hitbodedut every day. You can tell on his face if now he has that connection to God every day. There's some people, you can tell that they're just after money, and running after this world, and you see it on their face. You don't see any drop of Yiddishkeit on their face. Other people who are connected, you can feel their emunah. That's unbelievable. And they say also another statement that every day that a person skips talking to Hashem, the Bal Davar, the evil side, learns with a person a chapter of heresy, philosophical, heretical ideas on that day. In other words, every day, Hitbodedut is a must. Whatever you can do. You can't do an hour, you do whatever you can. Okay, Rabbi Nachman suggested an hour. Okay, suggested an hour, that's a goal. Fine, it's a goal. But doesn't mean that I do 1 minute so it's no value. It's like, for example, Tikkun HaKlali, Rabbi Nachman's 10 chapters, it's only activated once you finish the 10th chapter. Up to chapter 10, you're saying Tehillim. I say the first chapter, very nice. 2 chapters, very nice. All 10, you activated what's called the Tikkun HaKlali. So a tikkun like that takes place at the very end. Hitbodedut is not like that. Hitbodedut is, okay, if you didn't do 60 minutes, then it's nothing. No. I did 1 minute, it went in. I did 2 minutes, it went in. It's accepted, it makes that change. Every word of talking to Hashem makes a difference. It's unbelievable. People don't realize that. To take advantage to talk to Hashem. There was a breslover here in Yerushalayim. His name was Rav Shmuel Horvitz. And when he would walk on the streets here in Yerushalayim, he's like, his mouth was like a bird chirping. It was like, his mouth was he was moving his lips like a bird chirping. And they asked him, what are you doing? He said, I'm talking to Hashem. What? I'm going to just walk on the street like do nothing? Come on. If I'm walking, then utilize it. Today, Baruch Hashem, you have people, they listen to shiurim, they know not to waste time. People are driving, oh, fine. But also you can do it bodedut. You can have, for example, you have what's it called, the Bluetooth, right? You're connected. And people think you're talking to somebody, and you're like moving your lips and you're talking to Hashem. They understand, he's talking. I remember when the Bluetooth first came out. We're talking about 1995. So 1995, we were on our way to Uman, or on the way back from Uman, and we're in the airport in Zurich. And I guess they got the technology before us in Canada, I guess, whatever. So I'm standing with another breslover, and there's a guy next to us standing, and both his hands are taken, holding his suitcase and another bag, and he's talking to somebody. I said, look at this guy. We thought he was nuts. And then we just found out that that's when the technology came out, that you can have an intercom here, and he's talking to somebody, and we're all holding a phone. That was like something new. So it became clear that you can use that as an amazing scapegoat, as an escape to talk to Hashem, and people think you're talking to somebody. At first we thought they were nuts when they were doing that, but now, today it's acceptable. The guy's walking, and you hear him talking, so you immediately, he's talking to somebody, has something connected in his ear or whatever, okay? So you can do it anywhere, Baruch Hashem. And he's telling his son, look, many hours of learning, to say Tehillim and prayers every day, and also to express your conversation, to let out, to converse with Hashem every day, and to take pity and have compassion upon yourself every day. Okay? Unbelievable. What comes out of all this? That this is the goal of Simcha. The goal of Simcha is that then you can also serve Hashem with Tmimut and do. You can do a lot. When you have Simcha, it's true, it's a fact. When you're happy, you can do. When you're sluggish, when you're sad and depressed, you're sluggish, I don't want to do anything. I just want to stay in bed. I just want to watch all these movies that I have now, just wasting my time on Facebook, on Instagram, just wasting my time. Okay? When you're happy, you want to do. You don't want to sit down and you want to go and do. Because you want to take your simcha that you got, the bracha of intellect that Hashem gives you in awareness. I want to do something with it. I want to put it in emunah, learning, davening. A second shouldn't go by just wasting time. Sometimes, for health reasons, and also for connecting to Hashem, you need to go for a walk to see the green, the trees, the mountains, to remind you of Hashem, to take in that clean air, to do a type of meditation, to wake up. Yes, that's understood, that's needed. But when you're not doing it for that, you're just looking to have a fun time and to waste your life. When you see, they say it's amazing, and it's unfortunate that in the Holocaust, there were many partisans. The partisans were Jews who fled and lived hiding in the forests for days, for weeks, and for months. Okay? The average scale was the majority of Jewish people went hiding as partisans. They went crazy after a period of time. They couldn't handle being isolated for so long, from society, from people and function. They went crazy also, many of them. There was one, I saw this in a letter written by Rav Shik. He wrote to someone a letter that he heard from a Holocaust survivor who survived by being a partisan from Poland, and he said like this to Rav Shik, who was a prominent Breslover Chassid in New York, in Israel. He's buried in Yavniel. They call him the Tzaddik Yavniel. You heard of it? Okay, yeah. So yeah, fine. So I saw this in one of his letters. He said a Holocaust survivor told him that the majority of Jews who were hiding, they went crazy. He says, except for the Breslovers. The Breslover Chassidim, who felt Gan Eden to be alone in the forest to talk to Hashem, they knew what to do already. You know what to do in the forest? Of course we're hiding from the Nazis and everything. But this is Gan Eden, to be here, secluded, and to remember about Hashem and His creation. He said that's what kept them alive. He said the majority of the Breslovers who survived, that's what kept them, they remained being sane and normal because of that gift of being there and knowing to use the forest as a means to connect to Hashem, as opposed to other people who were not used to it at all. You know, he said also, Rabbi Nachman, that when Mashiach comes, there will be a big simcha, but the Jewish people who don't do Hitbodedut, who are not my followers, he said, and they don't do Hitbodedut, they'll be shocked. They go, what? Mashiach's here? And it'll be a shock. He said, but my followers, when Mashiach comes, it'll be like someone waking up from a good sleep and he's full of energy, be able to receive Mashiach with the right coordinates, the right yeshivadat, the right settling of the mind, and he won't be so shocked. Right? Other people, it's gonna just take them like unexpected. What? He's here? This, and they don't know what to do, and it'll be a while to get them settled from the trauma, a good trauma, but it'll be traumatic that he's coming all of a sudden and we don't know how to receive him, right? But he said, my followers who do it, but they do, they're able to receive Mashiach with the right frame of mind. So Reb Noson here, you see, he's telling his son, take the simcha and put it, do a lot. Because that's emunah. Emunah is not just thinking about it. Emunah is doing. You gotta do. That's the sign of emunah, of true emunah, that you want to do something now. You don't just, okay, thank you, it was a nice class, all right, so work on my emunah, okay, thank you. No, you're filled with a fire of emunah. What do I do with this now? So you put it in devotion, learning Torah with simplicity, tehillim, prayers, talk to Hashem, everything in simplicity, out of simple, straightforward emunah. That's the gift of simcha. And Rav Noson goes on. Talk to Hashem, about the talking to Hashem, right? Like we said, gam lefaresh sichatcha bechol yom, also to express, like we said, your conversation with Hashem every day, ulerachem al atzmecha bechol yom, and to take compassion on yourself every day. It's like he said two things. You would think it's the same thing. He said two things, Reb Noson. Express yourself every day, and also take pity upon you every day. Because in reality, just so you know, when you do Hitbodedut, there's the time that you set to do it, and normally when you start it, you're not into it. You have to work to build it up, and you're trying to find the right word. You're trying to do this. It's also like, for example, when you daven shacharit, a person daven shacharit. When they start shacharit, it's very heavy. Rabbi Nachman talks about this, lesson 60. When you start a devotion, it's heavy. It takes time to get into it. The main thing, though, is that you showed up and you're doing it. Whether I have the arousal or not, it'll come. So the one thing is you have to express your conversation before Hashem every day. That's the commitment. And then the byproduct, the result is what he said also. Get to the point where he said it a second time. And to take pity, compassion on yourself every day. This is a product of the lefaresh sichatcha, to express your conversation before God every day. This will lead to the second stage of taking pity upon yourself, because it takes a lot of words to get you heated up. You know, some people it takes 5 minutes, some people 10 minutes, some people 20 minutes, some people an hour. There was a Breslover in Poland. He was killed in Treblinka, Rav Yitzchak Breiter. And they had in Warsaw, the Breslov shul in Warsaw, they had rooms for Hitbodedut. Okay? You go, you knock on the door. If it's open, you go in, you close the door, and you can do Hitbodedut there. That's the sign. If the door was locked, somebody's there, you can't go in. Okay? So there was this Breslover Yitzchak Breiter, he was in this room, and came to visit him was Rav Elchanan Spector. Rav Elchanan Spector was a very prominent Breslover Chassid, not to get mixed up with another Elchanan Spector in the Litvish world. There's another big Rabbi Elchanan Spector from Kovno. He was a big, respectable rabbi, but this was a Breslover Chassid who had just got a visa before, in the 1930s, before the Holocaust, to go up to Eretz Yisrael, to go to Eretz Yisrael. So he came to Warsaw. He didn't live in Warsaw. He came to Warsaw to say goodbye to the Breslov elders, including Rabbi Yitzchak Breiter. So they told him he's in the room doing Hitbodedut now. So he waited 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours. That's probably where Harbush got his 6 hour thing from this Rabbi Yitzchak Breiter. 6 hours he's waiting, and he didn't leave. He didn't say, well, I have to go and everything. He was really dedicated Hakarat Tatov, because this Rabbi Yitzchak Breiter is who brought him into Breslov, Rabbi Khan Inspector. Finally, after 6 hours, he opened the door, schwitzing, and he said, boy, you must have had a real Hitbodedut. And he said, believe me, I didn't even begin to open up my heart. After 6 hours. Okay? It's amazing. Amazing. The point I wanted to say, him and his level, he's reaching levels of opening up to Hashem, fine. But it takes time for the heart to finally open up. He suggested to one person, Rabbi Nachman, to do 2 hours of Hitbodedut. One as a preparation, and the second one we're actually talking to Hashem. So Reb Noson is hinting to these two stages. He says first, like we said, lefaresh shichatcha bechol yom, to express your conversation before God every day, whether in arousal or not. I'm now talking. I'm now doing the actual activity to activate. And the second stage to reach ulerachem al atzmecha, because that's the goal. When the words really come out, when you begin to have a broken heart, when you begin to feel the pain of your situation, the frustration of your situation. Hashem, on one hand, I want to come close to you, but look how far I am. I don't know what to do. And all of a sudden, a person starts crying, and he starts expressing. It starts to hurt. When it begins to hurt, that's when the person begins to lerachem al atzmo, to take compassion on himself. You can't start Hitbodedut like that. It takes time. You have to build it up. Some people, they're already going through so much. Already within 30 seconds, they're already bawling their eyes out. Another guy, he's like a dry stone, dry as like a dead wood. So he needs more words. He or her, needs more words. By women, it's easier, brother. Women, doesn't take that much to open them up. Just like one line, and then that's it. The heart is already opened up. We made a woman's version of Reb Noson's prayer. It's called, in the BRI, it's called Between Me and You. And it's like each page is like one line, one sentence, taken from Reb Noson's prayers. By men, by the standard of Reb Noson's prayers, like the whole prayer, 5, 6, 10, 12 pages, whatever. But it was taken out as a woman's connection to God. One line from Reb Noson's prayers, and it's understood that this is enough to get a woman to really arouse, because she's already emotional anyways, being a woman. So now when the right words are there, it's used as a springboard now to open up the heart. We use, in Breslov, Reb Noson's prayer. Many people use it as a to get the motor running. Rav Shmuel Shapira, he said that these prayers are not instead of Hitbodedut, but they get you so motivated when you don't know what to talk about, what to say. You can use these prayers as a springboard to open up your own Hitbodedut. Okay? Rav Noson, if you noticed in this paragraph, you would think he would say first to talk to Hashem. He said, my son, learn Torah, and then say Tehillim, and then say prayers, and then do Hitbodedut. If you notice the order, Rav Noson, every word is so precise. That's Rav Noson. He was filled with this Ruach HaKodesh that Rabbi Nachman gave to him. So we can derive conclusions and make nice, strong perspectives on how he says things. He said to study Torah, and then Tehillim, and then say Tefillot, and then to express your heart. Because as if all this is a prerequisite to get yourself to do Hitbodedut B'ezrat Hashem. So that goes on. This is what I want to get to. Ve'im yiten Hashem yitbarach yiten. Now if Hashem will listen to your prayers, after you have compassion upon yourself and you present your case before Hashem, Hashem, do you want this? Do you want me to keep on waking up late every morning? You want me to daven a dead davening every day? You want me to spend time on the internet every day? Hashem, this is what you want? You're losing, I'm losing, the whole world is losing, Hashem. So that's an example, Yemirachem. So then you expect it after crying so much, my prayers were for sure answered. Not necessarily, not the case. He says, Rav Noson, V'im yiten Hashem yitbarach yiten. And if Hashem, bless me, will answer your prayers and give, He'll give. V'im love. And if He doesn't give, so He doesn't give. So then if that's the case, why should I waste my time? You're not wasting your time. Because it's a 50-50 chance that your prayers will be answered now, or your prayers will be answered maybe in 10 years from now, 50 years, we don't know. Hashem's cheshbonot, we don't know. But Reb Noson says, so why should I stand in davening if He might give, He might not give? I don't have energy and time and koach and strength to invest if it's like He might give, He might not give. He says, no, that's not the case. You have to do your part. He says, Aleinu la'amod kerash ve'evyon levakesh matenat chinam lehatzil nafshenu. We have to do our part to stand before God like a rush. What happened here? Like a rush ve'evyon. Rush means like a pauper and a poor person, to ask of Hashem a free gift to save our souls. Because the reality is, there's nothing else in life. If you think your solution is I have to go to this mikubal to get a bracha maybe, or to do this, or to that, or to go to this therapist, if you think your solution is outside of davening, you're wrong. We do go to kibbutz tzadikim to daven. Fine. We go to get a bracha and daven, okay? But if you think the solution in life is outside of davening, you're wasting your time. He says, Reb Noson, our part to do in life is to stand before God in prayer, in petitioning, like a poor pauper, and to ask Hashem of a free gift to save our souls. That's all we have in life, okay? And you say, but I'm dying, I'm drowning, I'm not getting anywhere. So what else do you want to do? Okay, fine. So you're drowning. Do you have another option outside of davening? Tell me. Let's see. We're taught no. This is the only option. This is the only option. There's no other option. Okay? It's like the person's complaining that it's not working. I'm davening for days, weeks, months, years. I'm not getting anywhere. Okay, so what's your other option? What? To be like a goy? What is the person thinking? It's he can't handle, so it's understood people say things out of pain and they make it sound like, this is unbearable. And I'm just going to pop and everything. So we tell the person, malasot, what do you want? What other option is there? This is the only gateway for opening. This is the only gateway is davening. And he's saying this, the perspective. You have to wake up to come to Hashem with such a submission, like a pauper. You have to be before God. Okay, I'm davening, Hashem didn't answer me. I like that. You have people, they say, I daven, and Hashem didn't listen to me. The reason why Reb Noson making it sound like, because the person is so still of his haughtiness before Hashem. He hasn't been hit enough. He has to be submitted. So they hit a person more and more until he gets that submission. And from the submission, he talks to Hashem. He has to reach the level that he can be a rash ve'evyon, to feel so much the pain of what he's going through that it subdues him, submits him. I just remember on a personal experience, I had a crazy pain on my left thigh. And it was just getting worse and worse. I couldn't walk. And when you have a pain, your mind runs wild. Oh my God, it's probably this. You think the worst. The worst. As soon as there's something wrong, the normal attitude, unfortunately, of a person is he goes to think, the worst scenario. Oh God, it's like the arteries blocking, the heart. He starts going very far, okay? And the pain was so crazy. I went to one doctor. He didn't know what it is. He sent me to a more like a surgeon. The surgeon, he said, I don't know what this is. I don't want to send you to the hospital, but I have no choice. You have to do an MRI scan and everything. And my biggest fear is to go to hospitals, because I know hospitals are not the best, are not the good place. Especially here, unfortunately, in Israel, this land works on emunah. So when you have doctors in a land that works on emunah, so that it turns out to be the worst, unfortunately. I'm sorry to be open about that, but that's the case here. Because there's more demanding of us. There's more demanding of us as living in Israel to live a life of emunah and bitachon. And going to doctors, fine. There's a degree to using them in emunah and bitachon. We're not going to go into that right now. It's a whole class in itself. We'll be nachman on doctors. In any event, I had no choice. I had to go to the hospital. And I'm limping, and also I'm waiting for the scan. And I'm saying, Hashem, what do you want from me? Why all this? I'm wasting my time. I could have been davening and learning, and I have nothing now. All this, what do you want from me, Hashem? What do you want from me? So then finally I get into they do the scan. And the lady who's doing the scan, she says, okay. She's going from down to up. Okay, everything looks normal. I'm trying to think, Hashem, what do you want? I'm the whole time, I'm with God. She's doing her stuff, and I'm listening to what she's saying. She looks at the part where the pain is coming from. She looks at it. She said, what is this? She herself didn't know what it is. They didn't know what it is. 3 doctors, a family doctor, a surgeon, a special surgeon, and then the MRI, the scan in the hospital, and all 3 don't know. And like I say, Hashem, what do you want from me? And then they didn't know what to do with me. and they say, listen, we have to keep you here overnight, and it's a hospital, Har Tzofim, where all the people are lying in the hallways on beds, and half of them are Arabs. And I'm going to be here all night. I don't have my tefillin with me. I have nothing. And I felt so bad. I felt so broken. So I started to cry. I said, Hashem, you win. You win. This is my punishment for my sins. Hashem, you win. Hashem, I accept my punishment. I felt so submitted, so broken. I just started to cry. And then there was an American, non-religious Jewish doctor, an American lady. She said, okay, we thought it over. We see you don't want to be here. So we're going to give you a painkiller and you can go home. I was so happy. I said, thank you, Hashem. Because I was just broken that they want to keep me there overnight. And who knows what's going to be with me. And everyone's sad and depressed and sleeping in the hallway, a Jew can't sleep in the hallway like that. Yeah, we're Jews. We need Negelwasser. We need things. What is this in the hospital like that? And so I came back, and the next day I started feeling better already. The simcha that I was, thank you, Hashem. I even walked home from the hospital. I walked all the way because I didn't know how to find my way out. It's like it's in a different it's in Arab territory in a sense. So but the idea was, I saw that as soon as Hashem broke me, and I had this rush, ve'evyon feeling. You come to Hashem like a pauper and broken, and you ask for a free gift. Hashem, you found your way how to get to me to punish me. I accept Hashem, whatever you want. And then we're broken. If you want to help me, Hashem, it's up to you. That's what Hashem wants most of the time. He wants submission. He wants a person to get off the high rocker. Person even doing Kedusha, he can get carried away. Look at me, I get up on time, and this, and a person feels like energetic. On one hand, it's true that you have to have a type of, you have to have self-esteem to do. But the bridge between self-esteem and haughtiness is so easy to connect. It's like a hair's breadth between them. It's so easy to go from self-esteem to gaiva. So Hashem needs always, you're gaiva now? Boom, boom, boom. But I'm doing good things. Yeah, but the gaiva. What do you do about the gaiva? So what do you want? I shouldn't do? No, do. Get to gaiva, but you have to get hit back to go back down. So it's like a ping pong. Being a Jew is a ping pong. You go too high. No, you're too high now. But what do you want? To be slothy? So you have to go back to be slothy on another wasted day, another Tisha B'Av day, and that. And then you get up again, and you're on a high, and then they knock you down again. So what do you want, Hashem? That's the idea of mastering eventually in life, to be able to go up and not to go into haughtiness. Who masters that? That's a tzaddikim. Why are tzaddikim? Because they went through so many thousands, tens of thousands of what we're going through, of the ping pong experience, of self-esteem, doing, but then there's the haughtiness and you get smacked down. They built, every time they went back down and started again, it built another concrete section of their self-esteem, so that they won't go into gava, into haughtiness, okay? So this is the test of life. It's crazy. It happens a lot for everybody. I think everybody goes through these tests, that you're on a roll and things are great. Your recipe came out in this. And then haughtiness, boom. What happened? I'm doing good, Hashem. Yeah, doing good, but the haughtiness. So what do you want? Me not to do nothing? No, you have to do. And eventually you might fall into the domain of haughtiness, but you have to go back down. So I'll just stay down. No, you won't just stay down, because you'll be lost if you just stay down. You have to work yourself up and then be exposed to the test of haughtiness and not have haughtiness. That's the tzaddikim. That's Hashem is working to build us up on, right? Amazing. So this is what he's saying, Reb Noson. V'im yiten Hashem yitbach yiten. V'im lav. Aleinu la'amod kerash ve'evyon levakesh matanat chinam lehatzil nafshenu, to save our souls. He goes very far, Reb Noson. To save our souls. It's not something tiny. I am here, Hashem, drowning. I feel it. I feel my neshama is mamash drowning. So what's the solution? The solution is not cannabis, it's not drugs, it's not alcohol, it's not chas v'shalom doing anything like letting into lusts. It's just the davening. That's the key. Im yiten Hashem yitbach yiten v'im lav aleinu la'amod kerash ve'evyon levakesh matnat chinam lehatzil nafshenu ulai yirachem. Perhaps Hashem will have pity on us. Wow, I didn't even get to the letter. I wanted to the part of Reb Noson's discourse. We'll stop here because it's already time. But B'ezrat Hashem will continue. I always I want to cover ground, and there's so much to talk about. Reb Noson just opens up how he talks, how he expresses himself. It's a world in itself. Every word is just, it opens up so many ideas. But the main thing is that we get something out of it on a practical level, because this is Reb Noson being at the most practical he can. He's writing a letter. This is an actual letter. Can you believe it? There's an actual manuscript of his handwriting in these words. It's crazy. This is like a fairy tale. Oh, it's a nice art school, like theoretical book, on Judaism. This is someone who was real, and it's a real letter. Okay, it's a real person, and we can relate to what he's saying, and it's possible, Bezat Hashem. But this thing, he says, Ulai Yerachem. Perhaps he will have pity. There's somewhere, I think Reb Noson writes, and we'll stop with this, that every time we say Ulai, maybe Hashem will have pity, the real interpretation is he will have pity. The question is when? Is it now? Is it after another 50 davenings? Is it after another 5,000 davenings? How many more prayers will it be till Hashem has compassion? We say Ulai, because maybe now is the time for the salvation. He's going to connect it to the coming up piece about Avraham Avinu that I mentioned earlier about setting at the tent. Perhaps now is the time that Hashem will open the doors. Reb Noson once said that if you didn't accomplish something in life, it's one of two reasons. Or you didn't daven at all for it, or you didn't daven enough. Period. That's it. It's or you didn't daven for it. And we say to a person, why didn't you daven for it? Or he says, I did daven, so we say, you didn't daven enough. There's no third option. There's no fourth option. There's no fifth option. It's two options. Or you didn't daven for it, or you didn't daven enough. Oh, look at this guy. In the end, he died from cancer and this and that. So we say, and where were our prayers? We daven. So we say, you daven? Okay, maybe you didn't daven enough. You know the cheshbonot. But we tear the heavens of our prayers and tell him and everything. But maybe for such a person, more davening was needed. Okay? Rabbi Nachman said about himself, before he left Breslov to go to Uman to die, he was sick of tuberculosis, and he knew he was being summoned to pass away. So he put his hand on the mezuzah of his house, which was also the base midrash for the Breslov Hasidim, and he said to his followers, if you daven enough for me, you can bring me back here. In other words, if you daven enough that I shouldn't leave, I can come back. So like Reb Noson writes in many letters, and he's telling over the story of Rabbi Nachman's passing. We didn't daven enough, our prayers, Hashem took away, we weren't worthy and everything. That's basically it in life. It's or you didn't daven for it, or you daven enough. There was once a lady, there's a recording of a lady came before the Lubavitch Rebbe, and she's crying to him. We counted on you to bring Mashiach. It's amazing, this little video. She's saying, we trusted in you, and where's Mashiach now? I lost my son in the army, whatever. She lost a son or from a sickness or fighting in the Israeli army, I don't know, one of the two. She said, I counted on you so much. Where's Mashiach? She's like crying her eyes out. He said something amazing. I just don't remember what he said. But the point is, why are you looking at me? He said, I need Am Yisrael also. It's not just me. It's collective. We're all in this together. It's your prayers, my prayers, everybody's prayers. You can't now just blame. He said to her, you can't just blame me. How come I didn't bring Mashiach? Because he made this guy. I said, I'm doing my best. But we need everyone. We need more Jews to daven. It can't be just me that I'm making this Mashiach campaign, everything. And she's like, what were you crying? He said, he said, enough is enough. They had to make her leave because she kept on saying it again and again. He said, I already answered you. And she kept on crying and everything. But the idea is amazing. We're crying for Mashiach, we're davening, so where is he? We would think after all the davenings make a chip in the wall, yes. But now, the wall is really solid. It's like a thick wall of like 5,000 years. We're chipping and chipping and chipping. So you didn't daven, Mashiach didn't come. So there's more davening needed. That's it. It's very simple. The guy died from cancer. Where was he? This, that. More davening. You can't say that you daven the maximum. You admit yourself that I could have done more. Everyone says they know we're only human beings, and we know we have so many ups and downs in lives. So we know that there was room to do more and we didn't do it. Whether it's our fault or not, normally it is our fault because we admit that we fell into our ta'avot and this and that took away from the time that davening. I admit that I didn't daven a lot. When a person comes of haughtiness, I daven, it didn't happen, what's going on? And they have questions and questions and questions. Answer is, you didn't daven enough. Okay? So, Ulai Yerachem, where Reb Noson, he finishes this piece here. Perhaps Hashem will have compassion. The perhaps it's now. Or perhaps it's later. But it's going to be. Like the Zohar says, and again, I keep on saying we'll finish now. Late re'uta tava de'itavi. There's no good desire that's ever lost. Every prayer that you said, it's kept. It's not like tear it up, okay, one of your prayers, Every word that came out of your mouth in prayer, even a dead prayer, even like you're out of it and you're saying the words, that is locked. It's locked in. It's invested in the savings account. We have savings account. Davening, is it what's the other option? Savings account and what? Investment account? How does it work? I forget in banks. There's a savings account and there's a checking account. So davening is a savings account. It accumulates, accumulates. That's davening. Every word, the Zohar says, not one good desire is ever lost. So what do we have to do? We have to keep on davening. That's it. And you can't say, well, I can't anymore in this. Like once Reb Noson said to Rabbi Nachman, Nichar Groni, I can't cry out anymore to Hashem. He quoted King David, who said, Nichar Groni, my throat is like parched and dry. So Rabbi Nachman said, Reb Noson, when King David said, my throat is parched, he really meant it. You, Baruch Hashem, Reb Noson, you still have koach that you can say to me, my throat is parched. You can say it to me, so you have still koach. When King David said it, he meant it. He said, I don't have any more words. I can't talk anymore because my throat is parched. I have no more saliva to talk anymore because I so much talking to Hashem for salvation, right? So he said, you still have koach to daven. Don't worry. You can say nichar gruni, my throat is parched. You can say it as an expression, but you still have koach to daven and to talk. So we should be zoche to listen to Reb Noson's words of tmimut and pshitut. All this, a person could hold on if he works on being besimcha. That's the point to remember. All this that he mentioned now about being strong in consistency and saying learning, tehillim, prayers, idbodedut, and being strong in idbodedut to be like a poor pauper before Hashem. All this is built on the prerequisite of serving Hashem besimcha and working on that and believing that that's the main cause that leads to the effect, which is these items, B'ezrat Hashem. We'll finish, B'ezrat Hashem, and we'll continue next week. We'll continue next week. Thank you for joining. Shkoyach, Rabbi Nachman, Shkoyach, Reb Noson.
What about starting with